In the long and glorious history of the Imperium of Man, humanity has encountered hundreds of strange and dangerous Xeno creatures throughout the galaxy. Many of these Xeno abominations have plagued man since the dark age of technology, taking advantage of the age of strife when the ancient human empire was isolated and broken. As the Great Crusade liberated many of these oppressed and enslaved humans under Xeno control, they butchered the aliens that dared threaten mankind during its darkest hour. Just as many Xeno empires were destroyed by the Emperor and his warriors as were encountered during the Crusade. Some lucky aliens managed to escape the xenocide enacted by the vengeful wrath of the Imperium. They now lurk in the shadows in the deepest corners of the galaxy. Bitter and broken, these Xenos want revenge against humanity, but can never truly accomplish it. Although there are a few Imperial savants that are still aware of their existence, the alien survivors are so insignificant that humanity refuses to acknowledge their threat. They suppress any reported sightings or redact any ancient records of these Xeno. But what this does is it creates an opportunity for these forgotten Xenos to thrive. They bite off chunks off the fat from the bureaucratic and slow-moving Imperium. Few Xeno epitomize this parasitic and vengeful notion more than the Lacrimol. Their greatest achievement wasn't the terror that they caused humans during the Age of Strife, but rather convincing man that they no longer exist. And with that said, I want to welcome you guys back to another 40 Facts about the 40K universe. I am your host Gersh1, and today we're going to be talking about the Xeno species known as the Lacrimol. If you guys are new to the channel, we post Warhammer 40K lore videos every single day. What I try to do is I read you the lore and then connect it to something within the hobby and then a Q&A portion at the end of this video. So if you guys have suggestions or questions about the 40K universe, just ask down in the comment section below. I'll answer them the following day. But with all that said, let's get into 40 facts on the Lacrimol. Very few records exist of the Xeno species known as the Lacrimol. Much of the data on these creatures has been lost since the Great Crusade. It wasn't until recently that Inquisitor Grandoval discovered their existence on the world of Beta Cairn. When he discovered this horrific alien species, Grandoval called an assembly of the Inquisition's Ordo Xenos and had the Lacrimol declared a Xenos Horrificus, an imperial designation requiring that every member of this alien species be exterminated upon discovery. The descriptions that do exist of this Xenos paint a horrific picture of a large mass of flesh and limbs that are in constant motion, with only two black eyes remaining unchanged. This is the creature's true form, but the form that it actually usually takes is that of an average human. That is because the Lacrimol is a shapeshifter. They are capable of changing their appearance at will and use this to infiltrate their enemy's lair. But because they have ever only gotten caught aboard Imperial vessels, it is unknown how wide their shapeshifting abilities truly are. The humanoid form they take is usually that of their former victims. On top of being a shapeshifter, the Lacrimol is vampiric. It is the blood they drink that allows them the ability to shapeshift into that individual. The true danger is how quickly they can take on the shape of their victims. As soon as the blood is ingested, the Lacrimol begins deconstructing the DNA sequence and uses it as a blueprint for its new form. There are rumors that this process is not always perfect, and so the Lacrimol will not be 100% accurate to the original victim. If the difference can be identified in time, the Lacrimol's impersonation can be questioned, but once the Xeno feels like it has been detected, it will fight like a cornered wild animal. Records aren't clear if the Lacrimol can mimic voices either. The covert nature of the Xenos has made it incredibly difficult to track down. All of these biological adaptations that naturally interact with DNA could have been used in the gene labs on Luna. Check out our 40 facts on the gene labs of Luna or the Moon. I'll put a link up above. The most notable encounter with the Lacrimol has been recorded as the Cardinal Spectre Incident, or the Lacrimol Incident. This occurred during the early days of the Aculus Crusade, before the death of the War Master Aculus, and before the true extent of the Imperium's foes had been uncovered. As the Crusade fortified the region around the Well of Night, countless scouts ranged out in all directions, assessing new worlds for conquest and spying on heretical populations and blasphemous alien empires. They sent information streaming back to the War Master. Among these reports was the appearance of an ancient space hawk, the Cardinal Spectre. The Cardinal Spectre was an item of interest to the Inquisition as it had been sighted centuries before, and records spoke of it containing the remnants of a relic ship of the Great Crusade, a ship which might have once belonged to the Young Inquisition. A mission was organized and led by Inquisitor Malus Dice of the Ordo Xenos and supported by a Death Watch kill team. It set off to find the Space Hawk's location. After months of false leads, DICE and his team finally tracked the Cardinal Spectre, following its erratic wake in the warp, to the edge of the cursed Crescent system, just beyond the boundaries of the Iron Collar. There they boarded the vessel and began to search for the relic ship. What they encountered instead was a nest of Xenos, which had apparently been living in the Space Hulk and using it as a base for centuries. At first, the kill team thought they might be facing a Genestealer infestation, as clawed shapes moved in the shadows and hissing sounds were heard echoing down the corridors. It was not until almost too late that they realized that the aliens were shapeshifters. Laying deadly traps for the kill team, the aliens had some of their numbers appear as vile alien beasts or clawed horrors like Genestealers, and they drew the Battle Brothers, the Inquisitor, and his acolytes into a hunt. Only then would they pick off the lone members of the group from behind and assume their forms, then get close enough to strike with surprise. After only a few hours of entering the Space Hulk, only DICE and a few Battle Brothers remained, and the Battle Brothers were deeply suspicious that DICE was an alien imposter. To save himself and return his report, the Inquisitor slipped away from the kill team during the firefight and made good his escape on the Cardinal Spectre, leaving all of his companions behind. Upon his return, DICE was convinced that the aliens encountered on the Spectre were the fabled Lacrimal, claiming that they were one and the same with those creatures slain by Inquisitor Grondoval and put to rest long ago. With no proof, however, and the loss of a kill team, he was shunned by his peers and it ended his career. He was a broken and babbling old man whispering of aliens in the dark. There is another less known encounter with the Xeno species that occurred during the Horus Heresy. A Lacrimal was used at least once as an assassin by the forces of the War Master Horus. This particular Lacrimal was able to assume the form of a warrior of the Lego Custodes and infiltrated the planet Bastion, where it was to assassinate the senators and nobles of that world's ruling class, an act that would have led the planet to revolt against the Imperium and side with Horus. The fact that this creature was able to drink the blood of an Adeptus Custodes makes it a heavily guarded secret. Few within the Imperium, other than the Custodes themselves, know of this encounter. I really appreciate you guys interacting and everything and listening, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. This was Gershwan with One Mind Syndicate, signing out.
Always used to put my freedom first in any situation.